Hi everybody, Dawn here, aka Miss Ella Bella, and I am back with another video. I have missed you guys. I've been gone for quite a while because I've just been so busy working and taking care of other priorities when I get home from work that I just conk out, and I really have every intention to making videos. It's just that I conk out and I fall asleep. And then I'm up and I have to start the day all over again. It's just a cycle that just keeps going on. I just gotta break the cycle. And I am breaking it because today is Friday. So while I have you here, before I talk about what I'm gonna talk about, let's just scan the nursery. My junkie nursery, which I have not been tending to because I have been so busy. Say the middle table looks pretty okay. Those are the babies representing the crochet division of my reborn nursery. Then we have babies there, up there, butterflies on the wall, and then we have some babies in over there. Let's just go over there and see in case somebody wants to know who's actually over here. So you guys can see. Sorry. Yes, Cooper, and then I think that is Leah in there. Anyway, I'm just so glad I can come on and make a video. So what I want to talk about is air dry paints and reborn. And it's no secret that when I do paint my reborn dolls, I always mention that I have used air dry paints. But now that I've been in the reborn game for some time and I've only always used air dry paints and I really started trying to use Genesis, it's just that it just became, I just felt it wasn't safe with my children around because I just don't tend to my stuff like that, and they would get into it, and I had a problem putting the vinyls in the oven. Then I didn't get a halogen oven. It was just one thing after the other, so I kind of stuck with the air dry paints because one, I didn't have to sit and stare at an oven because I just didn't have the time, but I will one day get to it. But for now, I'm content just using air dry paints. But what I want to talk about, let's go back over here to these two little guys. This is the Quentin kit by Marissa May, which is a Bountiful Baby kit. And I think this other one is the Gina kit, which is a Bountiful Baby kit. I want to say it's Michelle Fagan, but I think I'm fibbing, so I'm not sure. So we'll just say it's a Bountiful Baby kit. So I've used different types of paints. I've used acrylic paints from the craft store to paint some of my reborn dolls. Some came out great, some not so great. And then I've also used reborn paints from companies that were geared toward painting vinyl and reborn dolls. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So there is a difference, especially if you're going with darker complexion babies when you're trying to, when you're using an air dry paint, especially one from that's regular acrylic paint, like from Michael's, which is a craft store and everything. You will come out with some really nice dolls if you really master or learn how to water down the paints enough where you won't get a chalky feel. And I think I mentioned that with this baby here, she came out really cute, but her legs, but I wish I can show you her legs. I hope I can get it out. I mentioned that I really got lazy and just kind of made the paint too heavy, and then I end up scratching the paint, and I really think that came from me putting the paint on too heavy with the acrylic paint that I use. However, that brings me back to these two who were painted with air dry paints, but they were painted when I first started reborn, and I just was like, I'm gonna do everything right. I'm gonna get paint that's for reborn dolls. So they're painted with Luminaire air dry paint and Waterborne Magic paint, which are reborn air dry paints, which is pre-mixed, and it has ingredients in there that are made to work with the vinyl. And I must say, after all the years, and they were made before a lot of my other dolls, because I started in this reborn journey around 2011, but I started painting in 2012, and they are from that batch. So here we are. Look at this. I must say, after all this time, his paint is still looking well. And mind you, he was painted with an air dry paint that was made for reborn. I want to say he was painted with the Waterborne paint, and I think it's called Waterborne. Anyway, it's from Honey Buns. I think nursery is called Waterborne paints. You can look it up and see. But anyway, I'm gonna order some more because after all this time, his paint is holding up after all this time, and that's what I'm really excited about. Now, she was painted with the Luminaire air dry paint, and she was made beforehand, but as you see, she's gotten a little shiny. I do remember that I did use matte. I tried to seal in their color with a sealant, both of them with the sealant, but even though her face was wet and she's a little shiny, he looks a little bit more matte, a lot more matte than she does. Look at her limbs. So that being said, I finally realized, walking by the crib one day in the nursery and looking at him, and I'm like, wow, I really do need to really order me the Reborn air dry paints, because I feel that actually they're more forgiving than the acrylic paints, because they might stick to the vinyl a little bit better. You can get more of a richer color, and they're actually made for the vinyl. I think that don't get me wrong, I have used and probably will at some point continue to use like an acrylic paint when I think a doll staying in my nursery, another acrylic paint. But the trick to mastering the consistency and the texture is really tricky. It's really tricky with any type of paint, but the feel of it and the durability might not be as much if you're going for a darker shade baby. That's what I'm saying. Like when I talked about Melanie Sunshine. Anyway, I hope that actually made sense, that what I'm talking about when somebody say using artist grade paint. There are so many more, I'm sure, air dry paints that are out now that are made to use with vinyl. But like I said, this is what I know. This is my result. And this is when I didn't know what the heck I was doing with Reborning. I was just, I'm going to paint these kits. I think it's cute and I'm going to try it. And I used 2 different air dry paints, but I definitely like what the Waterborne Magic did. But I do like the fact that this paint, I do like the fact that the paint is still sticking onto the vinyl, not rubbing off in any way. And these dolls have been moved from one room to the next, changed over and over again. And I definitely see a difference than with the dolls that were painted with the regular acrylic paint, which is cheaper, well, less expensive. It's just that I need to figure out how to work with them. But I really gonna step my game up now. This is just me personally, and gonna try to stick to the artist grade paint. But anyway, I hope that this video was helpful. We'll look at the dolls again so you guys can see what I'm talking about. They both were painted with air dry paints, 2 different brands. But I like the fact that after all these years that their color is still holding up, not like some of the other dolls that I made, which were painted with regular acrylic paint, which was watered down, and then a matte varnish put on top, which works well, I think, and works much better when you have the lighter shade. But darker complexion babies, I do think need, if you're going to put that many layers, it really should be an air dry paint that is geared toward the reborning and vinyls. Anyway, I am ranting. Oh, I forgot to mention, look out, I have a new kit that came, a kit that I have been working on getting for a